Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of a horror thriller films from 2020, titled Vicious Fun. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. In 1983, in Minnesota, a man by the name of Phil can be seen sharpening his knife. Before action, he would put his weapons neatly into the bag, and that's how we know he is a serial killer. As he steps out of the room, he fixes his eye on the girl in the phone booth. Phil then decides to strike up a conversation with that girl, whose name is Carrie. He is so excited that the woman agreed to his offer of a ride. When the woman notices that Phil is smiling, he immediately locks the door. But unexpectedly, Carrie throws a wrench into his plans and then stabs him more than 20 times. On the other side of the story, Joel, a film critic for the horror magazine Vicious Fanatics, interviews B-movie director Jack Portwood. Joel isn't very fond of Jack's view on the horror genre, and enthusiastically mentions an idea of his about a movie with cab driver killers. Jack tries to dismiss the concept as absurd and comical, before sending him away. At home, he sees his roommate Sarah, whom he has an unrequited crush on, being dropped off by her new boyfriend Bob. When Sarah walks in, she tells Joel that she's going to have a girls' night, politely asking him to leave the house. Joel walks outside, and watches Sarah's boyfriend as he is about to leave. Jealous of Bob and noticing that he has a ring on his finger, Joel follows Bob to a Chinese restaurant. Playing the detective, Joel, who introduces himself as Dave, chats with Sarah's boyfriend. Joel learns his name is Bob, and that he is a real estate agent. Unaware of Joel's true identity, Bob speaks disparagingly about Sarah's terrible roommate, and here Joel finds out that Sarah feels sorry for him, so she lets him stay with her out of sympathy. Soon, Bob hooks up with a girl, leaving Joel to pay for their drinks. Disappointed by what Sarah thinks of him, Joel continues getting drunk, and after a while, goes to phone Sarah. Here he suddenly runs into Carrie, the woman who has killed the driver at the beginning of the film. After talking with Sarah, he stumbles into a supply closet, and passes out in the storage room. The restaurant locks up for the night, and when he recovers, Joel wanders back into the dining room. This time, he accidentally comes into a room, and finds himself entangled in a strange meeting inside the Chinese restaurant. The members of this meeting are Zachary, Mike, Hideo, Fritz, and Carrie. He doesn't know that these people are serial killers all over the world, and they mistake Joel for Phil, the serial killer who got killed in the beginning of the movie. Thinking he is in a weird group therapy session, Joel speaks vaguely about getting help for his unknown addiction. Mike talks about what he's passionate about, and Hideo is worried about the empty chair among them. As the members speak with each other, Joel finally realizes that he is sitting among serial killers. He begins to freak out when suddenly he is asked why he is here. Joel uses his movie idea about a killer cab driver in an attempt to blend in, and the rest of the serial killers find this interesting, which makes Joel feel a little relieved. During a break, Joel tries to escape from the room, but someone banging on the door stops him. Zachary tells Joel to open the door and check to see who's there. Joel does this, and to his surprise, sees Bob walk in. Bob is thrilled to see Joel/Dave/Phil among his colleagues. He greets the rest of the killers, and asks Joel what he is like and how he kills. Joel then tries to convince Bob that he is a cab driver killer, but Bob doesn't believe him. Soon, Joel finds himself in a tough spot as everyone starts to get suspicious on him. Bob then locks the door, and Joel is forced to admit that he is not who they think he is. Joel tries to run away, but Bob seizes him and hurls him to the ground. Poor Joel is instantly surrounded by a group of killers, and when the killers argue over what to do with Joel, Zachary appears to exert too much authority. Zachary claims that he has hundreds more kills than the rest of these amateurs. As a result, Mike stabs Zachary in the neck, with Hideo and Fritz finishing Zachary off. When Joel tries to escape, the murderers see that his tape recorder has fallen, and everyone immediately realizes that he may be a mole. Carrie uses the opportunity to kick Joel into the kitchen, then locks herself and Joel inside. However, Carrie admits to Joel that she is not a serial killer, but rather a covert assassin who has been working undercover within a top-secret organization to eliminate all of the serial killers. This takes place while the other killers wait outside, confident that Carrie will kill Joel on her own. Carrie then tells Joel that Bob, Hideo, Fritz and Mike are responsible for the 12% of all the unsolved murders in North America. There are 4 of them altogether, One of them, Hideo, is a killer chef who is known for creating high-end dishes using human skin. Mike, a rage monster with mommy issues, fixates on college-aged victims. Another one of them is Fritz, emotionless, and dresses like a clown before beginning his act. But among this group of assassins, Bob is the most dangerous of them all. He's a neighborhood sociopath killer with a high IQ of 180, who often kills people by pretending to be someone else, like a lawyer, dentist or real estate agent. As the killers try to infiltrate the kitchen, Carrie comes up with a plan of her own. She reveals to Joel the dismembered body of Phil that has been stashed in the refrigerator, and tells him what to do. Meanwhile, Hideo the killer chef sneaks into the kitchen by going through the vent in the ceiling. As he enters the kitchen, he sees Joel lying face down with Phil's intestines by his side. Outside, Fritz the clown secretly comes to the back door and tries to open the lock. Carrie hears the sound as she picks up the chopper and hides in the darkness. When she sees Fritz's hand attempts to enter the kitchen, she severs his fingers. While Joel throws Phil's intestines at Hideo. Joel is almost dead when Hideo throws a knife at him. Lucky for him, Carrie comes in and strangles Hideo to death with Phil's intestines. Meanwhile, Bob looks at Joel's driver's license and swears, because Joel is Sarah's roommate whom he thinks is a loser. Bob then tells Joel that he will kill Sarah, and without consulting Carrie, Joel pulls the fire alarm. Bob, who has an IQ of 180, immediately calls the police, saying that Carrie is a killer who broke into the restaurant and Joel is her accomplice. At the same time, Carrie takes out the list of killers, and crosses out Hideo's name.
Hit it! Yeah! Freeze! Drop the axe, playboy!
Carrie and Joel surrender when the police arrive, and they are soon taken into custody. Bob and his fellow serial killers are watching from inside their car, where Bob says that they're about to have fun this night. In the police station, Joel tries to explain what happened just now, but of course, the detectives dismiss his seemingly crazy claims. Carrie also warns the officers about the dangers they're facing from the serial killers, but the police decide to hold them there. Joel then tries calling Sarah to warn her about Bob, but she simply says she is coming to get Joel before hanging up. After that, Joel makes another attempt to use the phone, but Carrie jumps at him and hits him in the face, yelling at him for ratting them out. The detectives continue to reject any information they are given, so Carrie and Joel are both locked in a cell. In the cells, Carrie says that she needed a distraction to grab a paperclip. They both then have a little chat, and Carrie tells Joel that he can't force Sarah to love him. On the other hand, Bob's plan is also quietly proceeding. He disguises himself as a detective and comes to inspect two suspects. When he comes to the cells, Joel immediately recognizes Bob, but no matter how he testifies about the killer, no one seems to buy it. Bob says that Carrie is dangerous and unpredictable, and gives her a triumphant look before leaving. In another room, he invites the police to have some drinks. Bob's ruse gives him access to a notebook confiscated from Carrie, and Carrie's kill list reveals what she has been doing. Meanwhile, Fritz the clown surprises an officer who is waiting at his desk, and paralyzes him with an injection. Fritz, in his excitement, kills the officer with a nail on his forehead, and drags his lifeless body away. When the lights suddenly turn off, the policeman is a little worried and hurries to check. One of them decides to go investigates. However, when the policeman comes into the front room, he doesn't notice the blood marks on the ground. The officer then goes to check the power supply, but then his hand gets severed by Mike, who eventually kills him with a machete. At the same time, Carrie succeeds in unlocking her cell door. Now that two of the policemen have been taken out, it's Bob's turn to take out the last one. By using the pencils, Bob stabs the last officer in the ears, causing instant death. And as Bob is about to leave,
Jesus Christ! We need to wrap things up.
Afterwards, the trio decides to go to the prison to see Carrie, but to their surprise, the two of them have already escaped. Bob then shows Mike and Fritz Carrie's kill list, which makes it clear that things are much worse than they expected. Back to Carrie, she and Joel has just escaped, and when they reach the exit, Carrie tells Joel to leave. Joel refuses at first, but Carrie says that she doesn't need him. She locks herself in the station and is ready to struggle with other killers. When Mike walks into the room, he finds that the room is empty, and is startled by a mannequin. Carrie then immediately attacks Mike, putting his own machete right on his neck. This woman seems to be very good at what she does. She doesn't give him a chance to fight back, and stabs him with a knife. Soon after, Joel's crush, Sarah, comes to the police station, and the rapid knock on the door catches Fritz's attention as he sees the prey coming to the door. Fritz feels so excited, then he slowly unlocks the door, and the girl immediately enters the station. When she asks herself why there's no one in the police station, the lights suddenly turn on and Fritz appears. Sarah is startled by Fritz but defends herself perfectly well until Joel arrives. When Carrie comes in, she injects Fritz with his own paralyzing cocktail and he instantly falls to the ground. She doesn't intend to let this evil live, she easily tosses down the cabinet to crush Fritz's head. But before they leave, Carrie is attacked by Bob. Joel steps in to shield Carrie and gets stabbed in his arm. More vicious, Bob wants to strangle Carrie to death. But he has to take a phone call first. When Bob passes out cold, Joel hurries to drag Carrie and puts her into Sarah's car. As they are about to leave, the terrifying Bob appears in front of the car. Bob, however, doesn't have time to dodge, and is knocked to the ground. Sarah, Carrie, and Joel then rush to the hospital for treatment. The doctor is able to remove the dagger from Joel's hand, but Carrie remains in a coma in the ward. When Joel goes to drink some water, he finds blood marks on the ground. He opens the door and discovers a handbag next to which there is some blood. Well, Bob, who has an IQ of 180, poses as a doctor to infiltrate the hospital this time. Looking at Carrie lying unconscious, he immediately picks up the scalpel, but Carrie restores consciousness when Joel arrives. Joel hits Bob in the head, and pushes Bob out of the hospital bed, knocking him against the wall. The two men start fighting together. When Bob picks up the knife and wants to stab Joel, Carrie rushes over in time. Bob is stabbed by her repeatedly, and she doesn't stop until he is finally dead. Carrie knows that when dealing with such a devil, she must stab them to death in this way. Now that the group of killers is completely wiped out, everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. However, that's not the end of the story. Some time later, Joel comes to a movie theater. He notices a movie poster with the title Taxi Cab Driller, and thinks it was a good idea. He then goes to grab a few snacks, but the employee informs him that they are closed for the season, and so, Joel wonders why and what is the man doing there. The employee says that he's restocking the shelves, which seems strange to Joel. Joel then goes to the bathroom to take a look, and sees the real employee tied and gagged on the floor. Realizing that his crime is exposed, the man prepares to escape, but as it turns out, Carrie has changed her mind about Joel's ineffectual uselessness. She considered taking him on as an apprentice. They both start with taking down a serial killer hiding out in a movie theater showing a Jack Portwood film, based on the killer taxi driver idea Jack stole from Joel. And this is where the movie ends. Okay guys, that's all the recap of Vicious Fun 2020. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.